Good morning, Holman Baptist. I hope you're all busy trying to keep in touch with each other and encourage each other to imitate Jesus. I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of life coaching? Life coaching is really just, it's one-on-one mentoring is really all it is. Or if you want to keep that coaching theme going, it's just coaching for non-athletes. For example, if a football team has a coach that coaches linebackers, for example, and teaches them to be better linebackers, that coach will get to know each of the linebackers within the football context, find out each player's strengths and weaknesses, and then he'll determine the best way or ways to take both of those strengths and the weaknesses and strengthen them both. In business, for example, a life coach can work with a CFO who's maybe really good with numbers but really bad at people, and the life coach will spend time with this guy and help him figure out how to be better at people while continuing to be good at numbers, so he can succeed in business. That's the point. The football coach is there to help the players succeed in football. Now, hopefully, at this point, you're thinking, so life coach is kind of a non-religious disciple maker, right? And the answer, yes, is of course yes. Or maybe somebody from a more farming background would say, oh, a life coach, well, that's just a human shepherd, right? And that's also correct. Whatever you call a life coach, people who help other people learn about how to live life in one aspect or another are vital to human development. Learning from each other is how God designed humans to work. So it only makes sense that that is also how he designed the church to work. As I've been talking about all year, and especially this last week, the church has to shepherd each other. In fact, if we don't shepherd each other during this quarantine, we'll have more spiritual casualties than we have physical ones. So on Sunday mornings, starting this morning, I'm going to be teaching all of us how to be better shepherds. And we're going to start by asking another question. We're going to start by asking, what is a shepherd? The most important truth about shepherds, first of all, is that Jesus is the very best one. Jesus tells us that he is the good shepherd in John 10:11, where he said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. He also tells us what makes him the best shepherd, not just that he is, but he goes into some detail and tells us the reasons that he is the best shepherd. First of all, he willingly gave his life for his sheep. You can tell this aspect of shepherding is important to Jesus because over the course of the next 8 verses, he talks about it 4 times in verses 11 and 15 and 17 and 18. And he doesn't just emphasize his death for his sheep, but he's very pointed to highlight the fact that his death is his choice. Verse 18 says it best. No one takes it from me, talking about his life, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it up again. This charge I have received from my Father. You know, if someone sacrifices something for you, the greater the sacrifice, the more it means. But it means even more if the sacrifice was their idea in the first place. Dying for you and for me wasn't something Jesus was forced into. He originated that plan along with God the Father. And that leads us right into the next reason that Jesus is the best shepherd. He pursues danger, and not just danger, he pursues the danger that is pursuing his sheep. Look at verses 12 and 13 of John chapter 10. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, let's start that verse over. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. How Jesus acts is inferred from these verses, but it's valid to infer that because Jesus is using these words here in these verses to contrast with himself. Non-shepherds or hirelings or hired hands will run away from danger and then let that danger get to the sheep that they were supposed to be protecting. But by contrast, Jesus runs to the danger for the purpose of making it no longer dangerous or eliminating the danger. And he does it, he gives the reason why he does that in verse 13. He does it because he cares for the sheep. Verse 13 again says, he flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. In contrast, Jesus does care for the sheep. And so he runs to the danger. He neutralizes that danger. Let me illustrate this for you. One time, It was late at night. I think everybody else was in bed, and I was upstairs in the kitchen for some reason. I think I had gone up to get something before going back to bed myself, or going to bed myself, and I heard something on our back porch, and it was very obviously not a small thing on the back porch. And at the moment I heard it, and my brain interpreted that it was something large, a flip switched in my mind, and I started trucking for that back door. I was about to Hulk through that thing, or a Kool-Aid Man through that glass door. I mean, nothing was going to stop me from stopping whatever was on that back porch. Thankfully, for the sake of me and for the sake of my glass door, I realized before I got to that door that the sound was being made by a big exercise ball that the wind was blowing around on our deck, and so obviously posed no danger to my family. But I didn't almost crash through that door because I hated the glass door. And I didn't almost slice myself to ribbons because I thought that would be a good idea. I almost crashed through the glass door because I love my family and I was going to protect them. And no sheet of glass was going to get in my way. Now, honestly, I probably would have opened the door. But whatever. Either way, I was in a mode where I've never been in before or since, where I was going to stop that threat. There was no question in my mind. And that is how Christ is for us. He sees our threats, and he's right about the threats, by the way. He's never fooled by a big ball. And when he sees the threats to us, nothing is going to stop him from stopping that threat. And that is because he loves us. It's because he cares for us. In addition to sacrificing for us and loving us, Jesus knows us. Jesus knows his sheep, and his sheep know him. Read verse 14 with me. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Jesus and his sheep are unified in a way that is similar. First of all, that unity is amazing by itself, the fact that it's true. But it gets even better because the way that we are unified with Jesus is similar to the way that he and the Father are unified. Look at verse 15. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. That is amazing. It's mind-blowing. We are united with Jesus when we are his sheep in a similar way to how he and the Father are united and joined and whole and one, which is amazing. And the sheep, not only does Jesus know the sheep, but the sheep know Jesus because he has gone out to get them and he has made them his own. Verse 16. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. Now the implication here is that he has already gone to get the sheep that are currently his, because he goes to get all the sheep. This is simply salvation. This is what Jesus does. He saves people. This is, by the way, also election. That's just what it is. All it means is that Jesus is the one who saves. He goes and he saves people. That's what Jesus does. And when he does that, they become his sheep, and we know him and he knows us. Now let's just pause here for a minute and let some of these truths sink in. Jesus is, present tense, your shepherd and my shepherd. He is the one giving himself to protect and provide for you and for me. And he's the one chasing down the things that want to hurt you. And he chases them down so he can neutralize them. And listen, when Jesus stops a threat, that threat is stopped. And he's motivated by his love for you and his love for me and his love for his Father, which means he'll never run out of motivation because he'll never run out of love. What's more, he knows us, which means he knows exactly what we need, and he knows exactly the best way for us to get there. So he already sacrificed himself on the cross. That sacrifice is a done deal. But what danger is he pursuing right now in order to protect you? Because that is active, current, present tense thing. I'll give you a hint. The top danger on that list that he's pursuing is not the coronavirus. Maybe it's stress about the unknown future. And in fact, a future more unknown than anyone alive has ever experienced. Maybe the enemy that God is chasing down, that Jesus is chasing down to destroy for you, is fear of what the world and your life will be like when all this is over. Maybe it's worry about who might be lost along the way. Jesus is chasing down those fears to destroy them. And only your choice, only my choice to hide those fears can protect them from Jesus. Life is legitimately scary right now, but Jesus is our spiritual shepherd. He's our life coach. And he's going to walk through everything with us the whole way. Now, that is the Good Shepherd. But we're talking today about how we can be shepherds, right? So, to be good shepherds ourselves, we simply have to be like Jesus. We have to be willing to sacrifice for the sheep around us. We have to pursue danger that is pursuing the sheep around us. And we have to know and be known by the sheep around us. So what needs do the sheep around you have? If you don't know the sheep. So now you have to ask yourself, what sacrifices do you have to make to learn those needs? And what sacrifices are you going to have to make to meet those needs? Ask God to show you. That's always step one. In fact, that's ongoing no matter what else you're doing. And I promise you, when you ask God to show you the needs of the people around you so that you can meet them, I guarantee he will do that. You know why I promise that? Because part of the way he shepherds us is through each other. This is his plan. For example, your patience with your family is part of Jesus protecting them from fear. Or your phone call to a friend, maybe a friend who's living alone, is part of Jesus' comfort of his flock. Maybe your Facebook post to the church is part of Jesus' calling his flock to stay together, especially when times are uncertain. And fear is far too easy. So we need to stay in touch with each other a lot. A lot. You really can't overdo it. Even more, though, stay close to your good shepherd. You need him, and other sheep around you, including me, need you to be as much like the good shepherd as possible, because we're all responsible to shepherd each other. So that is lesson 1 in shepherding school. What is a shepherd? The shepherd is like the good shepherd, and the good shepherd sacrifices for the sheep. He fights the dangers that are attacking the sheep, and he knows the sheep and is known by the sheep. Those 3 characteristics have to characterize us if we're going to shepherd each other, if we're going to imitate Jesus and call other people to imitate him at the same time. Now, there's a couple things I need you guys to know. First of all, let's talk about giving. First of all, thank you, Judy. Your email was an encouragement, and a lot of people noticed it, and as well as your Facebook post. And you're right, we do have to continue to give even during this quarantine. There are a couple of ways that are available right now to give. First of all, you can mail checks made out to Holman Baptist directly to Merchants Bank, and they will deposit them for us. You can also go through your bank and direct your bank to mail checks to our bank, and they will deposit them as well. And you can do that. You can set that up automatically. If you do like an automatic bill pay through your bank, that will take the form of a physical check that goes to our bank. And we're working on some other means, some other methods that we can use to continue to worship God through giving and support his work during the quarantine, because it is still needed. And that'll be announced in the coming days. Something else that I want to talk to you about, I mentioned this in another video, and I've been talking to people about it since then as well, is action groups at home. I want to really strongly encourage us to do this. If you have not done that today, Sunday, the 22nd, the passage for today is 1 John 4, 7 through 12. That's where we're at. We're going to stay on the same schedule we were on before, and we're going to continue to move forward with that. So do that at home. You guys know how to do it. It's not hard. And if you need any support for that, any information, any resources at all, let me know. Call me, text me, Facebook me, email me, whatever. And I'll get you whatever you need. I'm also going to be putting on the website the schedule for the rest of 1 John, as well as the notes pages, and which has the instructions and things like that. So you should have everything you need on the website in the next couple of days. But let me strongly encourage you to continue with that in your homes. But also, it would be really, really good to talk to other people about that. So call some of the other people who are in your action group, or get a Zoom meeting going, or a Facebook Live, or Facebook video chat. There's so many ways we have available to us to stay in touch. Let's take advantage of them. And one of the things we could talk about while we're staying in touch is what God taught us in our action groups. that would be a very valuable and important thing to be able to do to continue on. Listen, there's a whole bunch more coming. I have a whole lot of things I'm excited about that are coming up, different kinds of videos, maybe videos from some other sources other than just me. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. I'll be talking to you about all that kind of stuff really soon in the coming days here, and I'm excited about what we're going to do, what we're going to see. God loves you very much, and He is excited for the opportunities that this has brought for us to grow spiritually, to be more like Him, to be more like each other. We should be excited too. Let's forge ahead. Let's work hard together to continue to imitate Jesus. Let's shepherd each other, and let's emerge from this quarantine and from the whole coronavirus mess stronger and more vibrant and more powerful for Jesus than we ever have been before. Have a good Sunday.